Haya, Bahashem, Yeshaya. I salute all our Israelites here, there, and everywhere. Salute you all over the world. Strength and honor. Got brother Yada here with me, my son.
Shalom.
Yep. So we're gonna get started on the lesson today. As I was asking Haya for direction on what to teach today, he was showing me that he wanted me to teach simply his word, but all of his word. So the title of this lesson is called Eat It All Up. Eat It All Up. That's what it's called. And it's going to be taken out of Luke 4:4 and Matthew 4:4. Okay. So we're going to start with Luke 4:4. Read that for me, y'all.
And Jesus answered him, saying, It is written that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word of God.
Right. So we know that it's talking about Yeshaya, but we were reading from the book, from the King James Version. So, we're going to replace it with Yeshaya. But for the most part, we understand that that he's saying that man should not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Ahia. So with that being said, we're going to go on and we're going to go to Matthew 4:4 as well.
But he answered and said, It is written, Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of Ahia.
So every word. So when I see every word, that word every jumps right out at me. I look at that like every word. That means the Apocrypha. That means the book of Enoch. That means the book of Jasher. Every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God, out of the mouth of Ahia. And we know, that this is important for us to understand that we got to eat all this word. Because how you going to demonstrate or have to, when you're dealing with spirits, how you going to be able to deal with those spirits if you don't know the word? So the reason why I'm going through this is because there's a lot of Israelites, when they come into the truth, they say, well, okay, I got this, but I don't understand why the Apocrypha, because they still got that mentality from that post-Constantine doctrine. So they don't understand that the Apocrypha, is the word of Ahia. They don't understand that the book of Enoch is the word of Ahia. They don't understand that the book of Jasher is the word of Ahia. I remember some years ago, because I've been knowing about those books since the 80s. So I remember some years ago, I had told a pastor, I told him, I was telling him about the book of Enoch. And the brother was telling me, well, nah, that book, it didn't just survive the flood. So, it didn't, everything was torn up, and I was like, what? So I prayed about it, and Ahia had gave me some understanding on it, and he pointed some things out to me about the book of Enoch. He told me that, first of all, Enoch was the great grandfather of Noah. So why wouldn't the book survive the flood? Okay, we understand that Enoch had lived 365 years, and the Bible talks about him walking with the Most High, Ahia, for 300 years. So for 300 years, this man walked with Ahia, but there ain't no books. That don't make no sense. I know people who has never had an encounter with Ahia in that way. And if they only had an hour with Ahia, they would be writing books. So for 300 years, he has nothing to say. That don't make sense to me. So when Ahia told me, he said, explain to him that I had 3 arks. 3. Noah's Ark, the Ark of the Covenant, and then Yeshaya. So as the Spirit of the Most High was revealing to me that Noah was physically saved. 8 people were saved on the ark. Ark represents salvation. 2, in the Ark of the Covenant lies what? The laws, the 10 Commandments, precepts, okay? Which is the soulish part of man that we have to learn for the soul. Then 3 was Yeshaya, because the Most High hid his word inside of Yeshaya's heart. that he might not sin against him. So we understand that there's 3 arcs, So he said, break that down to him. And I broke it down to him, and the brother still don't get it. But praise the higher, guess what? Fast forward 30 years. I talked to that same brother. He got his whole congregation understanding this now. So, I mean, you have to be patient with people. Some people, they just don't know. But you got to eat this up. The whole word. Not some of the word. The whole word of the Most High. So, with that being said, on that, we're going to continue on in the lesson here. Let's talk about our Israelite brothers. Here, there, and everywhere. We know some brothers, they standing on the corners and they doing that, putting that work in. We know other brothers, they inside of the church walls and so forth, and they're demonstrating the best way they can in Ohio. And then you got others, still another that's doing something different. But some of them have different understandings. Some say, okay, the 66 books is all we need. Then you got some that say, I've talked to them that said that. So don't think that they don't exist, because I've talked to them personally. I'm talking about the pastor of a congregation of over 10,000 Israelites. Yes, sir. And they don't believe in the Apocrypha. They don't use it, put it like that. So, so you got different ones that's doing different things. You got some that's saying, okay, I can get the book of Enoch, I can get the book of Jasher, but I can't get, the Apocrypha. So some brothers, we got brothers that's dealing with this on different levels. So the Most High said, teach them that they got to eat it all. Okay. So I'm like, okay, I get this. You got to eat all the word. How you gonna know which word to use when you're dealing with demons if you don't eat it all? You that sweet? You a sniper, huh? You can just use 66 books. That's it. You that good? No. When you're dealing with the enemy, you got to know this word, precept upon precept. You got to know this word. So you got all these brothers that's in these other camps and different things that's demonstrating. And I love all the brothers. I may not think the same way they think, but see, I realize something, that we are the same. We are the same, because if you can't get together and say, okay, I believe what you believe on this, I believe what you believe on that. Well, what can you get together and say? What can you get together and say, well, hey, we got a common belief on this or a common belief on that? Somewhere you got to be able to build. Somewhere. So I'm not knocking my brothers that's doing something different than me. Christ told you that when he told the disciples, other sheep, I have. So you have to understand that you can't assume that these brothers are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're ordained to do that. Somebody needs to let these people know that they're out of pocket. So I commend them brothers from these different camps that's out there telling these people what's going on, because they hold themselves not guilty all the time. So somebody needs to remind them that they're out of pocket. So they're there for a reason, and I get that. And I'm going to tell you something else. We got a common enemy, Esau. So who's to say that the brothers that's out there on the corner ain't going to be the ones that supply the knockout blow? Because we all got to hit them with something. Who's to say that they're not the ones that's putting that work in that's going to supply the knockout blow to this enemy that we all have? But you got to have this word. Got to have this word. When Esau look at us, and let's get an understanding of who he is. Esau, he put us all in the same pot. Whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a gangbanger, or whatever. It don't make him no difference. He done put us all in the same pot. You know why? Because that's what he do. He stews meat. So he put us all in the same pot no matter what. So you can think, oh, well, I'm better than these brothers because I got this and they don't got that. Or I'm better than this sister because she knows this, but she don't know that. And I know this and she don't know that. But when it all come down to it, Esau hate us all. How about that? He don't like none of us. And the Most High don't like him. So with that being said, we have to understand that, we have to understand that this word is we got to get this word. We got to. It's important. Go to Psalms, the 23rd chapter, the 5th verse. Just for a little bit, just to let you know my background a little bit. I have a culinary arts degree as well as I have a business degree as well. But in culinary arts degree, I've learned a lot through culinary arts, and that's why a lot of this is going to be food. And when you flip food, you understand that it's talking about the word. So when Yeshua is saying, man should not live by bread alone, but by every word, of course, he's talking about his word, his spiritual word. But we got to get all this word. We got to get all this word. It's important to get all this word because we need it for the enemy. We got to know which bullets to use on this enemy that we got.
Psalm 23, verse 5. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over.
The Most High is saying that he's preparing a table before us in the presence of the enemies. We have to understand that he's telling us to sit down and eat. We got to get this word. We got to get this word. When I imagine him saying that he prepares a table before us in the presence of the enemy, I imagine this big, gigantic table with all this food on it. We're supposed to get this word. All of it. We have to get wisdom and we have to eat all this word. Go to 1 Samuel 16.
Wherefore Saul sent messengers unto Jesse and said, Send me thy son David, which is with thee sheep. And Jesse took an ass laden with bread, and a bottle of wine, and a kid, and sent them by David until his son Saul.
Okay, start right there. Okay, we see that we know that, just to give you an idea of what's going on, David is bringing some food to Saul, and they're in battle right now. They've been battling with the Philistines, and so David is sent to send them some food because they need nourishment. Same thing with us. We need nourishment. That's why we got to get this word. But we're going to go a little deeper in it. We're going to go into food science in a minute. I want to show you, read 1 Samuel, the 17th chapter.
But David...
Hold on. 17th chapter in the 15th verse.
But David went and returned from Saul to feed his father's sheep at Bethlehem.
Stop right there. We understand that David was even feeding his father's sheep. So he's feeding the food that's going to feed the people. Because later on, that same sheep is going to produce milk, cheese, meat for the soldiers or for himself and his family. So even the food is being fed. Go ahead.
And the Philistine drew near morning and evening and presented himself 40 days.
40 days is a time of testing. Like the ark. And like we just read also with Yeshua when he was in the fasting for 40 days and 40 nights. So we know that even the time of the children of Israel when we were in the wilderness, that 40 days, that's a time of testing. So go ahead.
And this was done thrice, and the vessel was received up again into heaven.
Hold on. Where you at? 17, right here. You lost his place here. I read it. And Jesse said unto David his son, Take now for thy brethren an ephah of this parched corn and these 10 loaves, and run to the camp of thy brethren. And carry these 10 cheeses unto the captain of their thousands, and look how thy brethren fare, and take their pledge. Okay, so let's look at this for a minute. So David is taking this food to them. Let me explain to you about food science, a little bit of something that I know. You have simple carbs, and you have complex carbs. Simple carbs are your sugars, your instant sugars, like your fruit. It can come naturally from a fruit. It can come from a candy bar. It can come from sport drinks or anything like that. The object of simple carbs is to give you a boost of energy right then and there. But if you notice, he didn't take them no fruit. He took them something called complex carbs. Complex carbs are totally different. They're stored up. Something you can use later as energy. So I'm looking at this thing, and the Most High is showing me this thing in 3D. He's showing me how there's certain type of food that he sent to them, the children of Israel, in this battle. Because guess what? Ain't none of them, not one, is rushing out there to fight Goliath. Not even one. They were afraid. So out of all the food he could have brought, the Most High is showing me that they brought complex carbs, breads, corn. Those are starches. And those things are set up for you to use energy at a later date. So for 40 days and 40 nights, they spooked. They don't want to fight them. So it was, I just thought it was kind of unique how those were the things that he actually brought to the people. See, everything that's written in the word is written in there for a reason. It's just not in there to hear itself. I mean, for you to just say, oh, what is this? It's in there for a reason. He brought this bread and corn, and I'm looking at this thing and I'm saying, wow, that means, Jesse must have been a prophet. You know what I'm saying? Because he obviously knew that they didn't need the other kind of energy to go forward, because wasn't nobody gonna go forward. They was afraid of Goliath. So I thought that was interesting. Okay, look at this though. Keep in mind as you listen to this word, man should not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Ahia. Just keep thinking that in the back of your mind or in the front of your mind as you listen to the word. Okay. Give me Acts 10 and 10.
Okay. And he became very hungry and would have eaten. But while they made ready, he fell into a trance.
Stop. So this is Peter on the rooftop of Cornelius' house. And once again, 10 and 10 again. And he became very hungry and would have eaten, but while they made ready, he fell into a trance. This is Peter. 11. And saw heaven open, and a certain vessel descending upon him, as it had been a great sheet knit at the four corners, and let down to the earth. So Peter's sitting up here getting this vision, and in his vision, this sheet is coming down. Just like we would have a sheet over our tables and so forth before we prepare a big meal or something. So, Peter's sitting on the roof, he see this coming down. I'm sure he's thinking, okay, I'm about to eat, But then listen to in verse 12, it's saying, wherein were all manner of four-footed beasts of the earth, and wild beasts, and creeping things, and fowls of the air. So now I know he like, oh, hold on now. Peter looking like, I don't eat this. What's going on? So what the Most High was revealing to me, because once again, man should not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Ahia. So now I'm looking at this, and the Most High is showing me something. So let's look in 13. And there came a voice to him, rise, Peter, kill and eat. But Peter said, no, not so, Lord, for I have never eaten anything that is uncommon, that is common or unclean. And the voice spake unto him, saying the second time, what Ahia hath cleansed, that call not thou common. This was done 3 times, thrice. And the vessel was received up again unto heaven. So here we have, once again, Peter saying, I don't eat like this. What is this? And Ahia is telling him to do something that he never did before. So knowing that words, the food is words, I'm looking at the scripture and I'm saying, okay, all right. So what Ahia was saying was, read these books. Like right behind me, you see a bunch of books. I got them on both sides, and I got one in my office downstairs. That's me and my wife books. We got a lot of them, because we read a lot of stuff, material. In this particular passage, I'm seeing that the Most High is saying, get this knowledge. They own knowledge and then give it back to them. See, one thing I do know is that with Ahia, when you're dealing with his word, you got to understand something. Okay? And that is, truth needs no support. But it has all the support in the world through confirmations. So there's books that's being written that says, you know what? Because there's truth in it. And it's saying, these people, talking about the people over in Israel, are not the real Israel. They own almanacs. I believe it's the 3rd page of the 1980 edition, Jewish Almanac, say that they're not the real Jews. This is them saying it. This is not me saying it. I'm not anti-Semitic at all. How can I be when I'm Semitic? So this is their own books telling you. Their own books now telling you who they are. So in this vision, I'm seeing something totally different. I'm seeing that Ahia is allowing him to take in some energy that belonged to them to use right back against them. Now I know some people are going to see it differently. They're going to say, oh no, it just meant, we're supposed to, take the Gentiles in and this, that, and the other, One thing we know it don't mean that we're supposed to eat pork and stuff. We know that for a fact. It definitely don't mean that we can go eat pork or anything else. Like I told this one pastor before, where is it in the Bible that after Peter had this dream that he ate pork? Show me one place in the Bible, and I'll eat pork with you now. Show me one place where Peter ate some pork after he dreamed this. So we have to understand what to take literal and what to take in a soulish way. This was a soulish understanding. This was something that we got to take their word, their own word now, and let them see that it's against them as a witness to what? This. Their own words tell you who they are. Their own words tell you who they are in Genesis 10. Who they're connected to. So we got to use this word, but you got to eat the word in order to use the word. So here's another analogy. Thou preparest a table before in the presence of the enemy. And this is exactly what happened to Peter. These were Gentiles. He was a centurion. Cornelius. That's the police. 5-0. However you want to say it. The Romans. That's what he was. He was a centurion. Okay? And he was a Gentile. The word says it. So you have to understand that the Most High is dealing with Peter and letting him know, eat this word. Eat their own words and use it against them. We're going to go and I'm going to show you something else in a minute about that. But just hold on to that for a second. So this was done 3 times, and then the vessel was received up again into heaven. So what we see here is that Ahia is commanding Peter to eat their knowledge once again. Not in a literal sense, but to use Ahia's word, he said do it, so he was supposed to do it. We have to understand that any word that Ahia gives us is the word. What I mean by that is, we know we have the Holy Bible, and we have, the Dead Sea Scrolls, and we got the Apocrypha. This has the Apocrypha in it. And we know we have all that. But any word that the Most High Ahia has spoken to you is also that word. That's what he revealed to me. So if he ever gave you a prophecy, or if he ever gave you anything and said anything to you, that word can be used also. Just because it's not in scripture don't mean you can't use it. But the scripture should confirm that that is the word of Ahia. But you can use any words of Ahia, including prophecies. and different things that you've seen in your life or whatever. So we have to understand that we have to eat this word. That's what Ahia is saying. He's saying, eat it. Man should not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Ahia. Let's keep getting this lesson. Go to Revelations 10 and 8. Hold on. Slow it down. Revelations 10 and 8.
And the voice which I heard from heaven spake unto me again, and said, Go and take the little book which is open in the hand of the angel which standeth upon the sea and upon the earth.
Stop. So this is John in Revelations 10 and 8. He's saying, And the voice which I heard from heaven spake unto me again, and said, Go and take the little book which is open in the hand of the angel which standeth upon the sea and upon the earth. So in this vision, he's seeing an angel standing upon the sea and upon the earth, and he got this book in his hand. Go.
And I went unto the angel and said unto him, Give me the little book. And he said unto me, Take it and eat it up, and it shall make thy belly bitter, but it shall be in thy mouth sweet as honey.
Okay, so he telling them to take the book and eat the whole book. Eat it up. In other words, eat it up. Same thing we talking about today, eating up the word. Okay, and it should make their belly bitter, but it also be sweet in his mouth as honey. So we know the word is sweet, you know. But my question was, why is it bitter, you know, to his stomach? So as I begin to digest this word and really get an understanding of what the Most High was saying, he was saying, take this knowledge, take this understanding coming from different areas, you know, and being able to use this knowledge against your enemy. Look what it says. Continue on in the 10th verse.
And I took the little book out of the angel's hand and ate it up, and it was in my mouth, sweet as honey, and as soon as I had eaten it, my belly was bitter.
What's amazing about this is that he had already told him what was going to happen before he did it. You know, he had already prophesied to him that quickly and let him know what was going to happen when he did it, and that's exactly what happened. So we see that Ahia's word is working like it's supposed to. In other words, he tells you something, it happens exactly like that. But let's get 11 and let's see what it says.
And he said unto me, Thou must prophesy again before my peoples, and nations, and tongues, and kings.
So when I see this, I'm saying, wow. So he took the word, you know, that Ahia had given him through the angels, and he ate it up. And after he ate it up, then he was able to prophesy to many peoples and nations and tongues and kings. So we got to get this word, y'all. You know, we got to really get an understanding of what the Most High is saying here. You know, he's telling us, you know, to get this word. You know, we got to understand that it's important to know all this. We got to have an arsenal when we're dealing with the enemy. The Bible says that we're not ignorant of his devices. So we know the kind of stuff he's going to come with. So the only way we're going to know those kind of things, though, if we read his word. In his word, he tell you every move Satan makes. We know how Esau is. We can't look at Esau. We can't look at people out there and say, well, that's Esau, or that's the Gentile, or that's the... Don't even waste your time trying to chop them up like that into little pieces. You'll know Esau by reading the word and understand what Esau do. That's how you'll know Esau, when you're dealing with him. So it's important for us to get this word. We got to eat his word up. We got to eat this word. You know, we got to get this word, and we gotta just continue to read it, study it. You know, get it in us, so it's a part of every part. It has to become a part of every part, so that we'll be the manifestation of the word. That means that while we move, our moves and our being will be exactly like sons and daughters of the Most High, Ahia. That's how we're supposed to be moving. You know, a lot of people, they want all these titles, and you know, and I'm not knocking nobody, but nobody. I'm not talking about nobody in particular. But we want these titles of elder and pastor and all these different things. And you know what I told Ahia a long time ago? I just want to be a son. That's it. S-O-N. I'll be cool with that. That's a good title to have. You know, so that's all I really want. I just want to be a son. That's it. You know, I don't call myself no no great teacher or nothing like that. I thank Ahia for giving me the word and make me understand and make me able to see, to see the word and understand what I'm reading and so forth. But for the most part, I don't feel like I'm an orator or nothing like that. But the things that the Most High gave me, that He did give me, oh, I'm good at it, real good. So just be the best of whatever you are, whatever Ahia has given you. Just be the best at it. And with this word, we got to get this word no matter what we doing, no matter what position we play in the kingdom. We got to be able to get this word. We got to understand that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Ahia. Let me take you here. What is it? Okay. Go to John 6:5.
When Yeshua then lifted up his eyes and saw a great company coming to him, he saith unto Philip, Whence shall we buy bread, that these may eat?
Okay. So we know that this is the thing when Yeshua was feeding the 5,000. We understand that it was 5,000 men, so actually it was more than the 5,000 because you had the women and children. But right now, Ahia is dealing with men, so we know it's 5,000 men. Go on. 6.
And this he said to prove him, for he himself knew what he would do.
Come on, Yeshua. Go ahead.
Philip answered him, 200 penny worth of bread is not sufficient for them, that every one of them may take a little.
Okay, so Philip is saying 200, penny worth of bread is not sufficient. In other words, this is not enough, for 5,000 men and women and children. Go ahead.
One of his disciples, Andrew, Simon, Peter's brother, saith unto him, There is a lad here, which have 5 barley loaves and 2 small fishes. But what are they among so many?
Right. So Andrew is saying, that there's a lad here, there's a little boy here, who has 5 barley loaves and 2 small fishes. Now keep in mind, man should not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Ahia. Okay, go ahead to the 10th verse.
And Yeshua said, Make the men sit down. Now there was much grass in the place, so the men sat down, in number of about 5,000.
Okay, go ahead.
And Yeshua took the loaves, and when he had given thanks, he distributed to the disciples, and the disciples to them that were sat down, and likewise of the fishes as much as they would.
When they were all filled, he said unto the disciples, Gather up the fragments that remaineth, that nothing be lost. Okay, so when Ahia took me here, and the Spirit of Ahia was just ministering to me about it, I saw the word fragment, and I remember, this was years ago now, but when I remember in the 80s when I first started reading the Dead Sea Scrolls, and I remember that word fragment, and I was like, man, where do I know that word from? And I thought about the Dead Sea Scrolls. So we know that his word in the Dead Sea Scrolls are like fragments because of some of the words not being able to be read because of the conditions that they found the Dead Sea Scrolls in. Okay, now that's very important. Hold on to that, because now we understand that there's 5,000 people, men, and then women and children that Yeshua is feeding. Okay, and we know that in the spiritual sense, we understand that these fragments mean the word. So when he's saying gather up the fragments that none should be lost, he's talking about the word. So it had a double meaning. A lot of times when Yeshua spoke, there were more than one meaning to it. What they would call the laws of double reference or multi-references. He knew that there was going to be a post-Constantine time where they're going to say, don't read this book or don't read that book. That's not canonical. And he knew that they were going to do that. So when he said gather up the fragments that none should be lost, he was talking about his word. He was talking prophetically about what would happen later. Because at that time, they had the book of Enoch. They had all the other word. They was reading it. Just like I told that brother that time. Another thing I told him was, Jude talks about the book of Enoch. He quotes from it. So does Peter. A day with the higher is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years like a day. Book of Enoch. Then Paul, he's talking in Hebrews, where he talks about, and Enoch had this testimony that he pleased Ahiah. So where's that information coming from? We know we can't read it in Genesis. So that means it had to be a book. There had to be some information that was left behind that they were quoting from. And like I asked the pastor, you think you know more than Yeshua's brother? Really? He's quoting from the book of Enoch, and you're saying that the book is not canonical and we shouldn't read it. You're going against the word when you do that. So all you brothers and sisters out there that's in the truth, and I ain't talking about the ones that's not in the truth.
Picky eaters.
Picky eaters, my son called them. What, you on a diet? Is that what it is? You don't want to eat that much? You know, I'm talking to the brothers that got churches and camps and not using all this word. I know a church, like I said, with over 10,000 members. Israelites know who they are. Know who they are according to Deuteronomy 28 and all the other scriptures that go along with it. Isaiah 44, Isaiah 45. You know, we can just go down the list. All the scriptures pertain to us. All of them do. It's clear. The gig is up. We know now. We know who we are. So my thing is, you know, these books, we got to get them so that there'll be an arsenal that we can use when the time comes. So we'll know, do I use a simple card right here, or do I use a complex card? In other words, do I use a simple card and go out here and slice their throat with the word? Or do I use a complex card and I give them something to think about, marinate with? This is what we got to understand. You know, we got to understand how to use this word, because we come against different things. Like I was telling a brother and sister, I believe last week, you know, and we were talking, and I was saying, yeah, okay, I don't know what that is. Sorry about that, y'all. I was telling a brother last week, we were talking, and you know, I was telling him how it's important to have the word inside of you, you know, so that when the time comes, it'll come out, and you'll use the right ammunition. You know, you can't use a 357 bullet in a 32 automatic. So you got to know what to use and how to use it. You know, it's important for us to understand it. So you know, when I'm seeing this word and I'm seeing gather up the fragments that none should be lost, you know, and when I'm seeing when it's saying man should not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Ahiah, I'm understanding it now, and I'm understanding it as gather up the fragments that none should be lost, the word, so that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Ahiah. So with that, you know, I want to bid you peace. I want to say shalom. You know, I hope this has edified you or helped you in any type of way whatsoever. Like I said, I don't claim to be no big orator or nothing like that. I just take what the Most High give me, and I teach my family, I teach myself, you know, and it's important to know this word, and you got to get all this word. You know, that's how Christ, Yeshua, was able to handle Satan in the wilderness for 40 years. I mean, for 40 days and 40 nights, you know, because he was able to, through that time of testing, he was able to give him exactly what the Most High wanted him to say to Satan, you know, and how to deal with him, you know. So with that being said, we just want to say shalom. We want to say much love to our people out there, and we're going to end out with the Lord's Prayer, with the highest prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen.
Amen.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Strength and honor.